journey beyond imposter syndrome. This is where I invite you into a space where high achievers and spiritual leaders converge to redefine success and self-worth. By sharing transformative stories and engaging with thought leaders, this podcast serves as a roadmap for navigating the complexities of imposter syndrome. It's an intimate look into overcoming personal barriers tailored for those who value wisdom, leadership, and intuition in business and life. Join me at the Humble Warrior Podcast with Alani Bankhead. Welcome to the Humble Warrior Podcast, you guys. And y'all, today we're going to talk about the magic of imposter syndrome. Yes, in fact, imposter syndrome can be magical. So I'm going to share something with you that I'm a little bit nervous to share. Last night, I hosted a Harry Potter dinner and movie watch night. And I low-key know that I need to post these pictures, but I've been dreading doing it because part of me is worried about the judgment I'm going to get for it and the ways people can use this information in the future to attack me. So as we know, what goes on the internet lives on there forever. And so to a certain degree, I've been judicious about the stuff that I post. But at the same time, I feel like it's time for me to really unleash my own light so you guys can fully see me as anybody around me physically actually sees me. And it's funny because I want to talk a little bit about leading up to this magical Harry Potter night. I am a middle-aged woman. I am in my 40s. And that's typically not something that a responsible, mature 40-something-year-old with a career and in a particular profession would do. But ever since Harry Potter became a thing, there has been something about the story. I wouldn't say I'm like super like over the top Harry Potter fan, but I've always had a lot of respect for the storyline. And of course, it's this very meaningful good versus evil conversation and the twists and the turns and the connection and just all the incredible elements of the story certainly drew me in and have made me a fan. And so over the years, it's become a little bit of a tradition in my family where every Christmas we'll watch Harry Potter. So shout out to my sister who got my daughter hooked on it when she was very young over Christmas time. And so now we are watching it as a family tradition, and I absolutely love it. And we went to Disney World not that long ago, and Disney, it was pretty amazing. I haven't been since I was a very little kid, so seeing the park as it is now was super incredible. The food was amazing. The rides were a lot of fun. But if I'm really honest, I was really excited to get to Universal and get my robe and my wand. And there was definitely a part of me that was like, you are totally geeking out on this. You are a grown-ass woman. Grow up. But the reality was that I just wanted that connection to the movie. I just think it's fun. I'm a little bit silly. And so went straight for the store in the town of Hogsmeade, as they have it laid out in Universal. I got my robe and my wand. And so my friends' kids had dressed up for Harry Potter for Halloween last year. I invited them over so that we could do a watch party. We try to connect every once in a while. My friend is amazing. Her kids are amazing. And so I was like, hey, what do you guys want to do this time? Do you want to watch this movie? Do you want to do something else? And so we settled on Harry Potter. And I decided to go balls to the wall Harry Potter. I made the like wanted posters, like the Azkaban one with Sirius Black and it's not the unforgivable one, but there's one where it's like unredeemable person number one that the Ministry of Magic puts out. And I was sneaky. I got pictures of these kids. I put them on these posters. I had them printed. I was on Pinterest finding all kinds of fun Harry Potter food ideas, including you can make little mandrakes out of caramels and mint, super cute, stick them in some brownies, delicious and so fun. And I had little candles sprinkled everywhere, so it had this kind of like fun castle-y witchy vibe. And it was just so fun, honestly, guys, having my friend and her kids approach the door. I had put the fat lady, that's literally her name. I'm not saying that. That's literally her name in the book. She's the one that guards the door to Gryffindor house. And so she asked for the password. So I had a picture of her on my front door with the word password on it. We had this really fun exchange where the kids had to share the password so that they could get into the house. I know you're like, Alani, you're being a little bit over the top. And yes, I am. But you know what? It was magical. It was magical for me. I know it was magical for my friend and her kids. It was just so fun to have this moment of connection with people where I got to be silly and just enjoy the moment. And I got to wear my robe and honestly don't really care what anybody else really thinks about it. It was just me being myself. And all day I've been thinking, I know I have to post these pictures online because there was something so simple and fun and beautiful about this moment that I created that I know is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. And anything that encourages me, I certainly want to share it with the world. And so it's funny because I was struggling internally with, do I post this? People could weaponize this information, make me look ridiculous, all the things. And enter my old coach, Charmaine Melton. So Charmaine was my coach. Gosh, we've known each other for about 5 years, probably. And he really helps leaders step outside of their comfort zone and put themselves out there. And so Charmaine was the coach that ultimately pushed me to write the word badass in my copy for the first time, which I was shaking in my boots when I did it. And as you all know, badass is one of my favorite words now. And so Charmaine asked me to be on his podcast and he says, hey, I want to coach you live. What is something that you want some help with? And honestly, there really isn't anything that I need a lot of help with. Like any struggles I know, I'm able to basically coach myself through. And so in the moment leading up to this podcast recording, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And then all of a sudden, God was like, this is what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about posting these Harry Potter pictures, right? And it was such a great conversation and certainly inspired me to share this journey of courage with you because even badasses have to muster up courage sometimes and be honest and vulnerable in what they're experiencing. And he totally helped me reconnect with the truest, best part of myself. He helped me see that not shining my light as brightly as possible is not only detrimental to my mission and my well being, but also it makes me less effective to helping the people that I actually want to help. And the funny thing is that I've really been in this season for a while now of imposter syndrome can really be very magical at times. So, I've talked in the past about how to identify imposter syndrome, what the behaviors look like, what the processes are to start, right? If you look at any of the earlier podcasts, we break this down step by step. But when you start working these processes, you eventually are going to come to this first serendipitous moment of magic where something happens that you really wanted to happen. Maybe you've been working for it for a really long time, and it happens literally not because of anything that you did. It just happened, it just plopped in your lap. And you have this moment where you're like, did that really just happen? Is this real? Am I going to wave this off as a coincidence? And you could, in which case you stay stuck in your rational mind. But then on the flip side, you have this opportunity to open your perspective up to the magic that your life could be. And so when you have this moment, you get to decide, do I want to go back to my old ways where I had to work my ass off in my own energy and I was burned out and pissed off and resentful? Or am I ready to let go of that old mindset that although it served me for a while is not serving me anymore? Am I willing to embrace the magic? And so, you guys know I talk about spirituality, and this is a version of that. So, I'm not talking about magic in terms of literal, like witches and warlocks, but just that little special sparkle of something that happens to you that is not explainable, but you know is true, right? And the reality is that magic, just like God or the universe or whatever it is that you believe in, that bigger force outside of you, is all around you all the time, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And so I've had magic happening all around me for a while. I'll get really kind notes from past clients or people I've worked with, people I haven't talked to in a long time out of the blue. I had some anti-exploitation folks drop me notes recently where they're like, thank you so much for believing in me and supporting me. Or Alani, I wouldn't be doing this insanely amazing badass work if it wasn't for you. I had a young military officer send me a super kind note saying that they appreciated all the encouragement I offered them because they were in a difficult season of healing. And those words were not only affirming, but they were healing for them. I had a client message me saying, I completely changed her life. Literally today, I had a client session where she spent probably at least half of the session talking about how her life had changed since she started working with me. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, I'm receiving it all. And also, I'm like, do you want to work on anything today? I will gladly sit here in gratitude with you. But is there anything you want to work on? They're like, no, I just want to talk about how this has changed my life. I want to sit in this emotion and this thought and reaffirm everything that I've learned because I want to keep this momentum going. My joyful money clubbers, oh my gosh, they are experiencing some magic. And it is so fun to watch and encourage them, but also watch them encourage and celebrate each other. That's what you need, right? We all need a tribe that's going to not only back us up, but celebrate us when we're winning. And I have been in this thought process where I'm like, why is this magical stuff happening now? What triggered this? Because, of course, even though I'm a spiritual person, I still want a process and a checklist that I can reverse engineer because that's what I do. And so, honestly, guys, the more I think about it, the more I came to the decision that this is happening first and most importantly because I decided that I was worthy of it. And when you do that, you realize that you have to fight for your own worth, right? So you decide you're worthy. Nobody's going to fight for your worth but you. And so you have to prove to yourself, first and foremost, that you matter. And so recently I had an experience, not recently, this has been almost 10 years in the making. So I am a veteran. I have disabilities because of my time in the Middle East and some other stuff that I experienced. And after you leave service, you have the opportunity to apply for disability if you think that you need it, right? So this is a checklist item that you're told to do. It's part of the process. And so I applied, and I definitely had some behaviors and things going on that I knew were tied to my deployed situations, the combat situations I was in. And I really wanted the VA to just acknowledge that those things happened and that they were impacting my day-to-day life. And the primary way that happens is through my memory. So I've had short-term memory issues since I got back from Iraq. And it was within a couple months of getting back, it really scared me. Like my brain used to be a steel trap where everything was kept, I didn't have to write anything down. And all of a sudden, I could have a conversation with somebody about a coffee date we had made for the next week. I would turn around, walk away, and within seconds have forgotten all of it. It was very scary. I tried to go to mental health and they were not really the greatest. They were very invalidating and it just wasn't helpful. And to be honest, I had some old fears lingering about I carry a badge and a gun. I don't want my badge and my gun taken away. All that old stuff that is nonsense. And ultimately, the VA gave me my rating, and they told me, the psychologist actually told me to my face, she was like, yeah, I know you have memory issues. We can see that in the exams, but you're still a functioning member of society. So we're not going to acknowledge that in the paperwork. And I was like, hold up a second. What? So do I have to be completely like destitute and like not able to function in order for you to acknowledge that these events occurred and that they impacted my biology? Are we really going there? And over time, they got worse. So I've always had sleep issues. It turned out I discovered not too long ago that I actually have night terrors, which, for those who don't know what a night terror is, a nightmare is a bad dream, but you remember it. A night terror is you don't remember it. And the only reason why I knew about it was because my poor spouse would get waken up in the middle of the night with me screaming or something else, and I would have no recollection the next morning. And I remember talking to my doctor where they were like, hey, we have like medication to help with that. It's very helpful, especially to a lot of VA folks and veterans. And at first I was like, no, I'm good. I don't remember. He's, yeah, it's for your spouse, right? And I'm like, oh, my poor husband, he probably would appreciate a good night's sleep, right? And so I had to humble myself and be open to this alternative option to help heal me so that I could also support my spouse's sleeping habits. I've been very open about this in the past, but because of the work that I was doing, I leaned on alcohol a little bit too much. That is part of our culture, especially in the military and in law enforcement, that it is a problem and it's something that I experienced and I dealt with it and now I don't drink anymore. All of these things contributed to a strain on my marriage and other relationships. It made it very hard for me to trust other people, let alone myself, right? I accepted this initial assessment result, which basically the VA said, we don't really believe you. And frankly, the message I got was, we don't really care either. And at the same time, I am a high achiever, so I'm still in that mode of I'm not totally broken. I'll just accept whatever decision that you guys make. A very loved one that I'm very close to made this joke recently where they were talking to a friend and we were trying to encourage them to seek help for some disability stuff that they're experiencing because of military service. And this person I love made this joke of, when you go to the doctor and they ask how much pain you're in and you say the usual amount, the answer is actually supposed to be zero. Like a normal human does not experience pain. And if you do experience pain, you're supposed to go get it checked out and try to have it fixed, right? That's the goal. But especially people who are very service oriented, and I would not limit this to the military or law enforcement, anybody who loves to be of service to other people, because you're so focused on others, you're not going to think about yourself and what you need. You're going to defer to using your energy to help other people. So I went on my own healing journey many years ago. I've had therapy, EMDR, those zero sensory like saltwater pods, right? The ones that you get in and you float in, and the point is like total darkness, total silence, the sensory deprivation stuff so that it somehow helps heal, right? I had to go heal my physical body first. And then I realized I actually really haven't ever fought for myself. And so I had to go back into the VA. And guys, it was super scary and really stressful because honestly, I did not want to be subjected to this process again. I did not want to deal with doctors who were going to invalidate my experience and tell me that it didn't matter and affirm my inner imposter, right? But I made a decision that I was worthy of it. And so I went through the steps and magic started happening. I could not believe it when I showed up to the physical examination and the doctor that I had was this woman. And I still remember the feeling sitting in that medical office and just the discomfort of having to talk about all this stuff again. And she walks in and she was like, I read your file. I cried reading everything that you had to experience. And also, I'm a 30 plus year military veteran. I understand a lot of what you've experienced because I've experienced it myself. I'm sober for 2 years. And just word after word that came out of her mouth was so affirming and loving. And ultimately, she was saying, I see you, I believe you, your experience matters, and we're going to do what we can to help you get better. And I just remembered, I get a little bit choked up just thinking about it because it was so wild to wish that there were other people like me to help me and then actually finding those people. That was magical for me. And ultimately, I had a lot of other experiences like that as I went through this VA journey. And ultimately, the VA chose to listen. And it was because I had all these incredible advocates in my corner. And it really wasn't because of anything I did other than just decide that I was worthy of it. I had no control over which doctors were going to show up at those appointments. All I could do was control the decisions I could control and trust God with the rest of it. And honestly, I really do think that God is in whispering to me that, oh, you finally see yourself as worthy of fighting for yourself with the same love that you used to fight for other people. And because you finally see yourself as worthy, I can finally offer these gifts and this joy to you because you would not have received it earlier. And so the magic has not stopped there. But I have the most incredible clients, and they're literally coming out of nowhere more and more every day. I used to really have to fight to try to convince people that the work that I do mattered and was important. And I got to a point where I decided I matter more than trying to convince these people of my value. So I'm going to let them go. And magically, these incredible clients are showing up. People who truly, when I say it is an honor to coach them, and I'm not talking about people who are leading multi-billion dollar companies. Not that those people aren't important, like everybody's equally important, but you guys a lot of times don't realize it doesn't matter how small you think your mission is. That mission is incredibly powerful. And no matter how small or big you think, it is an honor to walk with my clients. And I'm better able to manage my competing priorities. So, like, life is just crazy, especially in the era of social media and digital media devices and 24/7 news and all this stuff, right? And whereas before I would have been very frustrated with my inability to manage all of it at once, having my hair be on fire is fun as hell, you guys. It is magical. I'm always like treading water, but I'm like furious and it's just fun and I'm loving it. And my current clients are telling me things like, I finally found my voice. I have these amazing new tools. Like I'm rediscovering the magic of reading. I had a client actually tell me I'm breaking up with my partner, not because I don't care about this person, but because I need to focus on developing the relationship with myself first. It wasn't like they're a bad person or anything like that. It was a matter of fact, like maybe one day, but right now, because of the tools that I've gotten through this coaching process, I now see, man, I got to work on me. I have to learn how to love me because I'm not going to be able to allow anybody else to love me if I don't love me first. Guys, one of the ultimate depictions of magic that I have experienced actually has to do with a recent event. So the Pope died this week. And this man, you guys, I'm not even Catholic, okay? And I think spirituality transcends religion. But ever since this man ascended to the papacy, I have loved every minute of his mission and watching him work. The love and the humility that he has to be in service of others, right? He's the first Latin American pope. He's a Jesuit, which allowed him to focusing the energy of the church on the poor. And literally anytime I watched him doing anything, it was magic, whether it was affirming marginalized communities or speaking truth about the child sex crimes epidemic in the church or calling truth to bullshit and truth to power. The love and gentleness that he's had is something that I've actually asked for more of because, as we all know, I can be a little bit rough around the edges and a little bit direct, right? He always had just the perfect, sweet words to speak truth, even in difficult circumstances. So I had a little mini interaction with the Pope. Back in the day, I was a senior Pentagon bodyguard. And I remember one day we were at the White House because my boss actually had a meeting in the White House that day. And honestly, I think they were meeting, I'm pretty sure they were meeting with the Pope, but it's been so long, I can't really remember all the details. Anyway, I am standing on the street with my team. We had put the boss in the White House. The White House is one of those places, pretty secure location, so I don't have to be with my boss 24/7, right? But all of a sudden, the gates opened to enter the White House properties, and in comes a standard motorcade, right? You've got like your big black SUVs with guns and all this up armored gear. Like it's pretty powerful sight to behold and this tiny red little Fiat in the middle of it. And it's just such a funny sight. And as this Fiat rolled up to where I was, the window was down, there was an elbow hanging out of it, and there I saw the face of the Pope, and he just looked so happy. And he was just taking in DC, and you could tell he was really loving the sights. And just that he was alive and that I'm not in his head, but that was just the feeling I got from looking at him. And this man is so humble. He waved at us, he said hello to us, and it was a genuine, just small moment of connection that I will never forget because I realized in that moment that I wanted to be like him. He's such a powerful person, but not powerful because of the title that he has, but because of the joy and the love that he exudes for everybody around him. And that was magic to me. And even though that event happened almost 10 years ago, clearly I'm still experiencing it today. And I always ask God for a little bit more grace and patience as I'm interacting with people because, again, I know I can be rough around the edges, but he was a magical person, and I'm so very thankful for him. And so for you, I know you're asking yourself, how do I create my own magical life? How do I create these moments of connection for myself where I can fully allow myself to be whoever I want to be? And first and foremost, you have to decide that you are worthy of that magical life. And you are, my friend. I'm here to tell you those desires that you have in your heart, the yearning is not there on accident. Whatever it is that you want to build, God did not put that desire there on accident. There's nothing about you that's an accident or a mistake. And so I recently heard that high achievers, we are very impatient people, right? And it can hurt us because oftentimes we try to move too quickly and we can be frustrated with the impatience. But harnessing that impatience to know that there is another thing that you're working towards that you are worthy of that is going to be yours. So knowing that there is no separation between you and that thing, that it is yours. And making that decision that you are worthy, and then acknowledging that the sparkle is all around you, whether you believe it or not, you guys. So just like air, it's something you breathe. You can't see it. You really can't feel it unless the wind is blowing, right? But you and I both know that there are molecules in the air that we breathe in that allow us to live. Like gravity, a force that you can't see. It can be measured now, but back in the day, it didn't used to be measured. Like love. Love exists, like your soul. A soul is something we know to be true, but we don't have any evidence or empirical data to prove it, right? That sparkle is all around you, like air, like gravity, like love, like your soul, whether you believe it or not. So the question is, do you think that you're worthy of seeing it, recognizing it, and receiving it more into your life? And so, my friend, I'm choosing to believe I'm worthy of my magical life. I'm going to post my fun Harry Potter pictures from last night. I hope it encourages you to let the funniest, dorkiest parts of you fly because those are ultimately the magical things that people love about you. And so, you guys, I know this was a funny episode. I don't have a to-do list for you today, but I know that these things are true, that there is magic and joy all around you that you can tap into whenever you want. The question is, are you ready to tap into it? And do you think you're worthy of it? So thank you guys so much for joining me today on this episode of the Humble Warrior podcast. I love you so much, Humble Warriors, and I will see you really soon. If you enjoyed this episode and would like some help overcoming your imposter syndrome, check out the free life purpose exercise on my website and subscribe to my blog. If you already know what your life purpose is and are ready to crush or harness your imposter syndrome, then you're going to love my best-selling book, The Least of Us: How Your Weakness Points to Your Greatest Power, available on Amazon and all major book retailers. Or you can hit me up at alani@mightysparrowcoaching.com to discuss private coaching or corporate and government training. That's ALANI@mightysparrowcoaching.com. Listen, there's only ever been one you, and there will only ever be one you. And you have a specific gift to give that the world desperately needs. Don't let your self-doubt be the thing preventing you from living your most joyful and impactful life. Until next time, I'm always cheering you on.